come closer. Let me gist you what happened between my preteen and her a couple of days back. You see, when I tell people that there is a limit to how far you can go with parenting if you really want to be an intentional parent without the help of the Holy Spirit, it's not a cliche, and I'm not even capping. Like, you will be so limited with your parenting without the help of the Holy Spirit. But even with all of your learning, without the help of the Holy Spirit, you are limited. Because on this one, there is no way on earth I will have known what was going on in the mind of my daughter, my preteen. She's 12. There is no way I would have known what was going on in her mind without the help of the Holy Spirit, so that I can quickly salvage the situation. So this is what happened. I observed that, in recent times, she's been so withdrawn and she's just so into herself. Unlike her, she's one very happy girl. She's the one that brings liveliness into the atmosphere of the home, of the house. So it was very easy for me to notice when she got so withdrawn to herself. And I've been asking her, and I used to think that we are friends. I used to think that, okay, with the level of relationship, the level of bonding that we have, she doesn't hide anything from me, or she would not hide anything from me. So I just observed that she was just into herself. So I kept asking her, what's the problem? What's the issue? Is there anything you want to tell me? Do you want to talk to me? She kept telling me, no, nothing. Then I noticed that this day she cries a lot. Like every little correction, she would just start crying. And she would just be so moody, which is very unlike her. So after many failed tries to actually know what was going on with her and get her to talk to me, and it wasn't successful, so I just decided to let her be, and I started praying for her. I didn't even know exactly what the prayer point should be, what I should pray for her about. At the point I was thinking, okay, maybe it's the what's it called now? Maybe it's the puberty thing or whatever. But I just started to pray for her in the spirit, because I don't even know what the prayer point should be. So I started praying for her, and anytime the thought comes to my mind, instead of me to get worried, I would just pray for her. I would just pray in the spirit for her. Then suddenly, a couple of days back, she just called me. She was like, "Mommy." I said, "Okay, yes, baby." She said, "But sometimes I have a just us time with her, just the two of us." Okay, so she requested for it. She was like, "Mommy, can we have a just us time?" I was like, "Why not?" So I had to tell the younger one to excuse us, and then we're just there in the room and we're having this discussion. And suddenly, she started the discussion by saying, "Okay, Mommy, I want to ask you a question. Why is it that I sometimes, I call her my sweetest, and I call the brother my sweetness?" So she was like, "So Mommy, why do I feel like you love sweetness more than me?" I was shocked. Before I could even answer that one, she went, "Why is it that anytime you are correcting both of us for something, the focus is always on me, and you are also blaming me for whatever it is that he does, saying that I'm older than him, and that he's learning it from me?" Another pause. I was thinking what my answer would be. Before I could think through an answer, she asked me another one. Why is it that sometimes when you're correcting me or you're talking to me, I always have this feeling of dislike for you? This one. Oh my God, it took the help of all the trainings that I've gotten in my life, and all the self-discipline and self-control of the Holy Spirit on the inside of me, not to react and not to let her see my reaction or the expression, my shock, because I was really shocked. I don't know whether it was shock or anger or disappointment or disbelief. I can't really describe how I felt, okay? But I was just like trying to contain myself. So I was just quiet, and I was trying not to let her see the expression on my face. Like, I was just normal. My facial expression was normal, but a whole lot was going on the inside of me. Like, I was heartbroken. I thought, she knows how much I love her. So if at this stage, at this point, she's actually questioning my love for her, I was heartbroken. I was really heartbroken. I was hurt. I was disappointed. I was everything, but I tried to not to let any of those feelings show on my face at all. So I was still wearing the smile that we started with, and I was listening to her. I realized that she paused to search out for my reaction. She paused and she was reading the expression on my face. So when she saw that I was still smiling, she continued. She was like, and sometimes I really do not know how this makes me feel. I will be feeling dislike for you, and instead of me to come to you and play with you and crack some jokes like I used to do, anytime I want to do that, I will just remember that I'm not happy with you, and then I will just have the feeling of dislike for you because you don't love me. You love Daniel more than me. So at this point, I was already session in my spirit, and I was like, sweet Holy Spirit, you have to give me the right words to say at this time. This is not the time to say, can we talk about this later? Sweet Holy Spirit, I need you more than ever. Help me, like, help me. Your girl needs help. At this point, by the time she was done and I saw that she paused, so I asked her, do you still have more things you want to ask me? I mean, are there still more feelings, more questions in your heart that are confusing, things you're not clear about? She was like, no, I think that's all for now. I was like, wow, so there seems to be like a why do I feel this way, why do I feel that way day, and I think I'm loving it. I mean, okay, let's talk about it, okay? And she was smiling because she was expecting me to have some form of reaction, which I wasn't given. I was just smiling all through it. And then she was like, Mommy, are you not angry? Are you not surprised? Are you not, how do you feel about my questions? I said, no, there's nothing wrong with the way you feel. There is nothing wrong with it at all. You're not sure about things, and I'm going to we're going to talk about those things now so you can have a clearer picture of things. We spoke about it, we talked at length, and in between the discussions, she still asked many more questions, which I was open to, and I was able to answer those questions. Where I needed to apologize to her, I apologized. Where I needed to explain things better to her to give her a clearer picture of things, why I took some steps, why I took some actions, I explained it better to her, and she was cleared, and we're both fine. We did a lot of hugging, and a lot of promises were made and all that, and this brings me to my topic, what I would really love to talk about today, which is siblings rivalry. Yeah, many socially deformed adults that you see today who have terrible character defects and are involved in one social vice or the other. If you can take a critical steps back and look at their life, you realize that they didn't suddenly become like this. This happened to them as a result of failed parenting. If you check out how they were brought up, check out the kind of parents that they had or how they were being brought up, you realize that most of these things happen as a result of failed parenting. There are so many areas and so many aspects that parents actually really need to look at. But today I'll just be focusing on the area of siblings rivalry. And this sibling rivalry, most of the time, they are caused by parents. They are caused as a result of parents showing favoritism or preferential treatment to one child over the other siblings. Okay, favoritism is when you prefer one child and you show it in your actions and your speech and in so many ways to all the other children or to the other siblings. Okay, so favoritism and preferential treatment, showing that, oh, I prefer this person more. You don't have to say it verbally, you don't have to verbalize it, but it can be seen by children in your actions. When this happens too frequently, the other ones or the other party begin to feel unloved. It can go a very long way to affect that child's character, and this is where children begin to develop character defects that affect them as adult form. That is where you begin to see adults. They will say, oh, this person is a narcissist, or this person is a this or that or whatever. It didn't just start in one single day. It started as a result of built up, pent up negative emotions that were not corrected, directly or indirectly inflicted on that child by people who are dear to him or her, who love him or her, and in this case, the parents. Parents overly demanding of being responsible from a child, like overly demanding that this child be responsible for the rest, okay, or overly demanding that this child be a model example to the rest, putting pressure on that child can also cause sibling rivalry. In a situation whereby children they experience pressure from parents, parents want these children to become a model example to the other siblings, thereby they are overly demanding responsibility from them. They are giving them responsibility that are choking these children. You are making them becoming an adult too soon, sooner than their age can handle. If it is too much, there is a way it gives pressure to the child, and there is a way it affects that child's mental health. You as a parent are seeing it as wanting to bring out the best in this child while focusing on her or him or her alone, while the child herself is seeing it as not being loved. Why? Because the child gets to get more discipline than the rest of the other children if anything goes wrong. Most of the times this happens with firstborn. Parents overly demand them to be responsible, to be model example to others. Why this is so is because first child are born leaders. And so as a result of this, parent tends to think that if they put a little bit of pressure on the first child, in training this first child, okay, because first children usually have a form of influence on their younger ones. So parents believe that, oh, if I put a bit of pressure in training my first child, the other ones will just follow that path naturally. It will be easy for them to follow suit, because we believe that, oh, if the first should get it right, others will follow suit. Because of that, we tend to want to put pressure and put more effort in training the first child. While this is absolutely fabulous, why this is good, okay, this is an age-long method that our mothers and our fathers have used, okay, but why this is good, we must do it cautiously. We should ensure that while doing this, we shouldn't push them too hard. Sometimes we tend to unconsciously make them assume the role of parents to their younger ones. Okay, this is too much burden for a child. They may end up becoming, or they may end up feeling too responsible for others, that they end up becoming people pleasers. They do not have the opinion of their own. They tend to want to please others. They become people pleasers, that they lose their own personality and identity in the process. It's not going to be good for them at all. They are going to become people who tend to give so much of themselves to others and forget themselves while doing it. They tend to lose their identity while doing it. They do not even have the chance and opportunity as a child to come to discover who they really are, their natural tendencies. This is so sad because we push them so hard that they miss out on the opportunity of being children while they are still children. They miss out on the opportunity of enjoying their childhood because we want them to grow up so fast and become that model, that example model for others. And why doing this? They lose themselves, they lose their identity, they lose the opportunity of discovering the real self, their real personality. Okay, so we must be really, really careful as parents so as not to let our children lose out. And apart from losing out, they also feel overburdened and pressured. They're overwhelmed with this cumbersome responsibility that we have decided to give to them. It's too heavy on their shoulders. They feel so overwhelmed. When a child begins to feel too overwhelmed by responsibility given to him or her per age, if that responsibility is too much for that child's age, the child begins to see the person inflicting this responsibility as enemy. The feeling of not being loved set in. That feeling of dislike for whoever or whatever is inflicting that much burden on them. And I think this was what happened between myself and my preteen. Thankfully that our parenting or my parenting has been working from start. So she has grown to be a friend, and with the help of the Holy Spirit, she was able to open up. By opening up, we're quickly able to remedy the situation. You can imagine if she didn't open up, and if I wasn't bothered or concerned to dig deep, okay, or to pray about it, for the Holy Spirit to help me touch her to open up and for me to know the right things to say. You can imagine this will keep building up on the inside of her, and before you know it, it's like we turn to hatred. There will be silent war right at the home front, and you wouldn't even know. And then you would have started forming another kind of adult in this child, a child that grew up so many years in a home where she feels unloved and feel that the other siblings are more loved. That child will grow up with hatred, and that child will at the end of his or her life become a societal mess. That is when we begin to see a lot of character defects. So as parents, we need to be careful, we need to be intentional, and we need to be highly sensitive to any change in our child's character. We need to know when to talk, we need to know when to have a discourse, we need to know how to balance things out between our children so as to avoid siblings rivalry. Thank you so much for listening to me and making a decision to be a more intentional parent. Till I see you again, keep winning. Thank you guys for stopping by and staying to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell down below, and share. Thank you. Bye.